You're sitting in your airplane seat, 35,000 feet above the ground, sipping your complimentary beverage, when you glance out the window. And then you see it. A tiny hole at the bottom of the window. Your heart skips a beat. Is this plane compromised? Should you alert the flight attendant? Are you about to experience a catastrophic decompression event like something out of a Hollywood disaster movie? Before you hit that call button and cause a scene, take a deep breath. That tiny hole isn't a manufacturing defect. It's not damage from a previous flight, and it's definitely not something that's going to send you spiraling into the atmosphere. In fact, that little hole, it might just be the most brilliantly engineered safety feature keeping you alive right now. Today, we're going to dive deep into the fascinating world of airplane window engineering, explore why that minuscule breach in your window is actually your best friend at altitude, and uncover the incredible physics and engineering that make commercial flight one of the safest forms of transportation on the planet. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at that tiny hole the same way again. Let's start with the basics. That window you're looking through isn't just a single pane of glass like the windows in your home. It's actually a sophisticated multi-layer system designed to handle conditions that would shatter ordinary glass in seconds. Airplane windows typically consist of 3 separate panes, each serving a critical purpose. The outermost pane is called the outer pane or structural pane. This is the heavy lifter of the window system. Made from stretched acrylic, this pane is designed to handle the enormous pressure differential between the pressurized cabin and the thin atmosphere outside. At cruising altitude, the air pressure outside the aircraft is only about 20 to 25% of what we experience at sea level. Without this outer pane doing its job, the pressurized cabin air would explosively escape, creating exactly the kind of disaster scenario you were worried about. The middle pane is where our mysterious tiny hole lives. This pane is also made from stretched acrylic and serves as a fail-safe backup. It's designed to take over completely if the outer pane ever fails. Think of it as the understudy waiting in the wings, ready to step into the starring role at a moment's notice. Finally, there's the inner pane, which is the one closest to you. This pane is thinner than the others and serves primarily as a scratch guard. It protects the critical middle pane from damage caused by passengers, luggage, or the general wear and tear of commercial aviation. When you put your forehead against the window to catch a glimpse of the landscape below, you're touching this inner protective layer. Now, here's where things get interesting. All 3 of these panes need to work in harmony, and that tiny hole in the middle pane is the conductor of this symphony. That tiny hole has an official name in the aviation industry. It's called the bleed hole, breather hole, or pressure equalization hole, and its function is absolutely critical to your safety and comfort during flight. Here's the problem the bleed hole solves. Remember how I mentioned the enormous pressure differential between the inside and outside of the aircraft? The cabin is pressurized to simulate an altitude of about 6,000 to 8,000 feet, even when you're cruising at 35,000 feet or higher. This pressurization is what allows you to breathe normally and avoid the effects of altitude sickness or hypoxia. But this pressure differential creates tremendous stress on the aircraft's structure, including the windows. The air inside the cabin is constantly pushing outward against everything, trying to equalize with the low-pressure environment outside. Without the bleed hole, both the outer and middle panes would be sharing this pressure load simultaneously. This might sound like a good thing, like having 2 people carry a heavy piece of furniture instead of 1. But in aircraft engineering, this creates a problem. If both panes are under equal stress, you can't predict which one will fail first if something goes wrong. You also can't easily inspect the outer pane for damage because stress patterns would be distributed across both surfaces. The bleed hole solves this elegantly. By allowing air to flow between the middle and inner panes, it ensures that the cabin pressure pushes almost entirely against the outer pane. The outer pane becomes the primary load bearer, while the middle pane remains in a relatively stress-free state, ready and waiting as a backup. This is brilliant engineering because it means the outer pane is always doing the work and the middle pane is always ready to take over instantly if needed. There's no transition period, no moment of vulnerability. If the outer pane cracks or fails, the middle pane is immediately there to maintain cabin integrity. But wait, there's more to this tiny hole than just pressure management. It also serves another crucial function that affects your flying experience in a very visible way. Have you ever wondered why airplane windows sometimes fog up, but usually only around the edges? Or why you can still see clearly through the window even when there's frost forming on the outside? The bleed hole plays a starring role in this process too. At cruising altitude, the temperature outside the aircraft can plummet to -60 degrees Fahrenheit, or even colder. Meanwhile, inside the cabin, you've got warm, moist air from dozens or hundreds of breathing passengers. This creates the perfect conditions for condensation and frost. The bleed hole allows dry air from the cabin to circulate into the space between the inner and middle panes. This keeps the moisture away from the middle pane and prevents frost from forming where it would obstruct your view. The outer pane might accumulate frost on its external surface, but that's exposed to the extreme cold and airflow, which keeps it manageable. Additionally, this air circulation helps regulate the temperature of the window assembly. Without it, the temperature differential across the panes could cause stress concentrations that might lead to cracking or seal failures over time. So that tiny hole is simultaneously managing pressure loads, providing fail-safe redundancy, controlling moisture, and regulating temperature, all from a hole that's typically only about 1 to 2 millimeters in diameter. That's smaller than a grain of rice, doing the work of an entire engineering department. The design of airplane windows has evolved dramatically since the early days of commercial aviation, and not all of that evolution came without tragedy. In the early 1950s, the de Havilland Comet became the world's first commercial jet airliner. It was a marvel of engineering and a source of tremendous pride for British aviation. But within 2 years of entering service, 3 comets broke apart in mid-flight, killing all aboard. Investigators eventually discovered that the aircraft's square windows were to blame. The corners of the rectangular windows created stress concentration points. Every time the aircraft pressurized and depressurized, tiny cracks formed at these corners. Over many flight cycles, these cracks grew until they reached critical size, leading to catastrophic structural failure. This disaster fundamentally changed aircraft design. The rounded rectangular windows you see on every commercial aircraft today are a direct result of those Comet investigations. The curved edges distribute stress more evenly, eliminating the dangerous concentration points that doomed those early jets. The triple pane design with the bleed hole came later as engineers continued to refine window systems for ever higher altitudes and pressures. Modern aircraft windows are tested to withstand far more stress than they'll ever encounter in normal service, with safety margins built upon safety margins. Every aspect of window design, from the acrylic materials to the specific curvature to the rubber seals to our tiny hole, represents decades of engineering refinement and lessons learned from real-world incidents. Now let's address the elephant in the cabin. What actually happens if an airplane window fails? First, complete window blowouts are extraordinarily rare. The materials and engineering we've discussed make such failures almost unheard of in modern aviation. But when damage does occur, the multi-pane system proves its worth. If the outer pane cracks or develops damage, pilots receive immediate alerts from cabin pressure sensors. The aircraft can begin descending to a lower altitude where the pressure differential is reduced, making the situation more manageable. Meanwhile, the middle pane takes over the pressure holding duties seamlessly, thanks to that brilliant bleed hole design. If a window ever failed catastrophically, the aircraft is designed to handle it. Modern jets can maintain controlled flight even with a compromised window. Emergency procedures would have the aircraft descending rapidly to an altitude where passengers can breathe normally without pressurization, typically below 10,000 feet. The pilots train extensively for these scenarios, and the aircraft systems are designed with multiple redundancies. The terrifying, explosive decompressions you see in movies where passengers are sucked out of aircraft are extremely rare and usually involve failures far beyond just a window issue. So the next time you find yourself gazing out an airplane window and you spot that tiny hole, don't worry, smile. You're looking at one of the most elegant engineering solutions in modern aviation. A simple breech that manages pressure, provides redundancy, controls moisture, and has helped make commercial flight incredibly safe. That little hole represents humanity's relentless pursuit of safety and our ability to solve complex problems with beautifully simple solutions. It's a testament to the engineers who learn from every incident, refine every design, and work tirelessly to ensure that millions of people can travel the world safely every single day. Aviation is full of these hidden engineering marvels, from the winglets that save fuel, to the landing gear that withstands incredible forces, to the bleed hole that keeps you safe at 35,000 feet. If you found this fascinating and want to discover more incredible aviation secrets, engineering marvels, and the amazing science of flight, make sure to subscribe to JETWHIZ right now. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest deep dives into the world of aviation. Share this video with a friend who's nervous about flying and show them just how much engineering goes into keeping them safe.
And drop a comment below telling us what aviation mystery you want us to explore next. Until then, safe travels and happy flying with JETWHIZ.